I testified falsely against them by saying that they raped me when they didn't, and that was wrong. And made up a story that wasn't true because I wanted validation from people and not from God. I hope that they can forgive me.
After 18 years, the former stripper in the Duke lacrosse scandal admits she made it all up. Back in 2006, Crystal Mangum accused 3 Duke University lacrosse players of raping her at a team party where she performed. Today, she says she lied about it. It was a case that captivated the nation. The 3 students were charged with multiple counts despite the absence of concrete evidence. They were eventually exonerated, but their lives were forever changed. Robert Schalk is a defense attorney and former prosecutor. Bob, so let's walk through this with me. So she is currently in prison for second-degree murder of her boyfriend, but could she face any new charges connected to these false allegations?
Arthel, unfortunately, I don't think that she can. The statute of limitations for perjury has run for purposes of this state. So even though she admitted that she lied and she ruined the lives of 3 college kids, I don't see any possible criminal charges coming her way. And civilly, I mean, obviously, the 3 gentlemen, Mr. Seligman, Mr. Evans, and Mr. Finnerty, had a lawsuit against Duke University, which was settled for an undisclosed amount, and they've moved on with their lives. I mean, they're not going to bring a lawsuit against an individual who's incarcerated for murder, who likely doesn't have any assets. And likely they don't want to begin, bring these facts up again and going to court and fighting anything. I'm sure they've moved on with their lives. But again, at what cost? I mean, it cost them a great deal that an individual went to court and swore under oath that a rape occurred that never did.
I want to read a quote from then North Carolina Attorney General Roy Cooper. This was in 2007 on declining to prosecute Crystal Mangum for perjury. It says, quote, "Our investigators who talk with her and the attorneys who talk with her over a period of time think that she may actually believe the many different stories that she has been telling. We believe it's in the best interest of justice not to bring charges." So, Bob, I ask you now, was that the right decision at that time? And will this case prompt a change in perjury laws?
I could not disagree with that analysis more. They had ATM footage of one of these individuals, one of these men, these Duke students, at an ATM at the time that she said it happened. Prosecutors all over the country and prosecutors' offices are afraid to prosecute perjury cases. They feel as if they're doing some disservice to the criminal justice system. Think about, I'm a former prosecutor and now I'm a defense attorney. The hardest thing to do in court is to prove someone's lying by asking a question. They had concrete evidence that she was lying at the time, and they had such a black eye from what Mike Nifong did, hiding evidence and losing his license and doing a night in jail, that they just didn't want to bring any more media attention to it. They were afraid to do the right thing, and that's what is disgusting, in my opinion, as it pertains to this case. As it pertains to changes in the law, if I'm a politician in the state of North Carolina, I immediately, this year, 2025, the fact that this has come to light with this apology, a little too late in my opinion, but this apology, you need to petition the state and put together a bill which extends the statute of limitations almost infinitely, so that individuals who are wronged and lies are committed and they are brought into court can still be prosecuted years later. They've changed statutes for rape cases and child victims cases such as this, and I think now is the time to do it, and I hope other states follow.
Well, there is another statement I want to read. This is from James Cooney. He's an attorney who represented Duke lacrosse player Reed Seligman, and he was reacting to Mangum's apology. He says, quote, "We obviously," this is yesterday, he says, obviously, we'd known all along she was lying. In some sense, it's nice to see her let the public know there was just this enormous path of destruction. I think she's beginning to realize kind of the enormity of what she caused." So Crystal Mangum has asked the former lacrosse players to forgive her. But how can those players and others who lost their job in the process regrow the scorched earth her testimony created?
They can't. I mean, you had 3 men lose the ability to attend one of the most prestigious universities in the country at Duke. They were thrown off one of the best college lacrosse programs that has ever existed. Duke lacrosse is in the top 10 every single year. They're a phenomenal program. You had lacrosse coaches lose jobs. You had administrators at schools lose jobs. Duke lost millions of dollars. These kids' reputations, it doesn't matter that they were exonerated at a later date. If you were to Google their names, this is the first thing that's going to come up for every job search. You cannot scrub the internet. And the court of public opinion is very damning, regardless of whether you're exonerated or not. And these are the types of allegations that prevent people from getting jobs and will follow you forever. So unfortunately, there's the apology, as the lawyer for Mr. Seligman indicated, is obviously appreciated at this late stage, but they knew the truth all along. And as you indicated, there's no way she can put the toothpaste back in the tube. She lied. It was out. You can't put it back in. And she can't, fix the harm that she did.
Bob, finally, how does this impact defense of actual rape victims?
It's very difficult, Arthur. When you go into a courtroom and lawyers have different jobs, prosecutors have a job, defense attorneys have a job. And as I indicated earlier, the hardest thing to do is to prove that an individual is lying. The only thing we can rely on is that the prosecutors learned from the Mike Nifong situation and they do their jobs the right way. And the best part about being a prosecutor, as I was one before, is that if the individual you are prosecuting is innocent or someone has lied against them, you get to open the door and let them go free and right that wrong. And that's what didn't happen here. And that is why we're still talking about it all these years later. And you just hope that young lawyers are educated in law school about specifically this case and the roles everyone played and how they should take that moving forward in their career so things like this don't happen again.
Defense attorney Robert Schalk. Bob, thank you for joining us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.